Wow. Just wow. Howdy, I'm Cutlass Mulligan, and today we're looking at issue 1 of Uncanny Valley by Tony Fleecs and Dave Wachter. I wasn't really sure what to expect by this issue because I haven't read Stray Dogs yet. I read the first issue of Feral and I thought it was okay, and I don't read any of Tony Fleecs' big claim to fame, My Little Pony, I swear. But I'm a sucker for Looney Tunes, so I got this variant cover which has what looks like an off-brand Yosemite Sam, and the main character kid here is holding up a little help sign, which I think is just so cool. And the comic itself is, it's stupendous. It's astonishingly enjoyable. I love it. And normally when I really like a comic book, I don't want to give away any spoilers, I don't want to give away the ending or any major plot points because I want you to go out and buy it for yourself. But honestly, I'm so excited about this issue that I just have to tell you all the reasons I'm excited about it, which involves some spoilers. So right out of the gate, we're in totally familiar territory. We have an excellent establishing shot, and we have a few middle school boys out in the woods being mischievous. And because I got this cover instead of the main cover, I really didn't notice that bird sitting up on the branch there. I really didn't think it mattered. And on the next page, we see these guys about to jump off a bridge, and they're pressuring him to do it too. And look, I know that might sound stupid to some of you, just three boys jumping off a bridge for the heck of it, but speaking as a previous young boy myself, jumping off bridges is pretty exciting. So they jump off, and he creates this perfectly body-shaped crater in the ground, which I thought, that's kind of weird, that's very cartoonish, but this isn't a cartoon. It's drawn pretty realistically, so maybe he fell into a pile of leaves, or maybe the writer just wanted to be kind of goofy for a second. I don't know. I don't really know what's going on, so I just kind of skimmed over it. I honestly didn't even notice the tiny little birds flying around his head when he pops out of his hole, but the other two kids both broke their legs because they jumped from over 15 feet up. Then we immediately cut to what I assume is a school assembly. It throws us right into the middle of it as if it was a TV show, and it zooms out slowly. We can see signs saying our families, our culture, so it shows us that maybe they're in an area that has a lot of Native American heritage. But more importantly, it shows us that we're supposed to be thinking about heritage and where we came from. It's really clever, subtle foreshadowing that you don't notice the first time you read it, but reading it a second time, you're like, oh, that's genius! This main kid, Oliver, is waiting outside the office because he's in trouble. His mom shows up. We have a great establishing shot of his mom. We find out that he's been doing all kind of delinquent type stuff, like jumping off a bridge and not getting hurt, how dare he, but he's also been jumping all over a classroom, and apparently he started a fire in the cafeteria, which is obviously going to be very upsetting for his mom to hear, but it sounds like he's new in the school because his mom is a traveling nurse and he's trying to fit in. He's just trying to do whatever the other kids think is cool so that they'll like him. And as his mom is driving him home from school and kind of lecturing him about getting in trouble, he mentions that he was jumping around that classroom because he hit his thumb and he was bouncing off the walls, which made me stop for a second and think, okay, maybe this kid just really loves cartoons and thinks that he's in a cartoon. Maybe we're kind of seeing the world through his lens and things just happen to be more cartoony for him than they are for other people. I don't know. But then we get to his explanation for the fire that he started, and he says that he ate a really spicy pepper, and then he kind of blacked out for a second because everything was so hot, and when he came to, his lunch was on fire. And that's when you start thinking, there's mischief afoot. She asks him about his schoolwork, and since the school is talking about heritage right now, he shows her the family tree he's been working on, and he and his mom are the only two branches on the tree, to which he's like, this isn't a tree, do I have any other relatives? And she's like, no you don't, that's it. Materialized out of thin air we did. And then as soon as he gets home, he immediately goes and watches cartoons, which just reinforces the idea that maybe he thinks he's living in a cartoon, but we're still not sure what's going on. He goes outside to take out the trash, and we see what you might call a murder of crows, perhaps even 2 murders of crows. He goes inside and tells his mom that there's a whole bunch of birds out there, and she's like, oh, that's weird. Wait a minute, are they crows? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, they're black birds, what does it matter? And then about 1 million cartoon crows come crashing through the window like a giant flock of death, and they're screaming, deliver the half-breed, take the boy! And that's when it all clicks for you, and you realize he's a half-breed cartoon character? And they're fighting these crows and trying to run away in super high energy, and then we get this giant cartoon sound effect explosion, and there he is in all 3 feet of glory. It's off-brand Yosemite Sam, who turns out to be Oliver's grandfather. So it's just like Percy Jackson, but instead of descending from Zeus, he's descending from Yosemite Sam. He's a demigod cartoon human boy, and it's amazing. And they're fighting the crows, and they take Grandpa's gun, and the mom is getting weighed down by crows, and she says, God without me, and he's like, no, Mom! And then she tells him to run, and when he looks down, he's got roadrunner legs, and then he disappears in a cloud of dust in his exact human shape, and he finds himself outside the house. He looks back, he sees there's an exact shape of him going through the wall, just like a Looney Tunes cartoon, and then Grandpa shows up in his sick late 1980s convertible, and he's got a special little car with gear so his tiny little legs can reach the pedals, and they're whipping it into the street, and he looks back back and he sees some creepy figure coming through what looks like a rift in space and time, and it looks kind of like Wile E. Coyote, which makes me think that there's a Wile E. Coyote that's either the alternative to a Minotaur like in Percy Jackson, or Wile E. Coyote is the big bad guy. He's the Hades of this universe. He is the literal devil, but he's Wile E. Coyote. And then the Grandpa Cartoon Man pulls out a revolver and has this sick out the window shooting backwards shot. What a fantastic panel. It's just, the writing is impeccable. It's excellent character and setting establishing. It has really great pacing. You have a lot of questions. There's a lot of foreshadowing and everything gets answered. And there's a bunch of moments of, what the heck was that? It's exciting and it's smart and it's funny and it's dramatic and it's perfectly catering to me, I might add. The art, as you could see, was pretty well done. I think that Dave Wachter really specializes in creature art. I looked up some of his stuff online and I like it when he does creatures more than just regular people, but his regular people in this issue look very Dan Panosian inspired, so if you like Dan Panosian, it's kind of scratchy looking realistic art, then you'll probably like this too. But even if you don't love that art style, the contrast of that art style with the cartoon characters pasted on top is really fun to look at. I'm really just blown away. There were really no points that felt stiff. All the dialogue was very natural. It felt like the story was moving along by itself at a normal pace. Not everything is being explained, but it leaves us just the right amount of clueless where we want to know more. I love it. So I'm going to rate issue 1 of Uncanny Valley a 10 out of 10. It's the first 10 out of 10 rating I've given in a long time, and the reason it's not a 9, it's a 10 instead, is because it's personally catering to what I really like in comics. So it's checking all the boxes for the craft, but it's also checking my personal box of interest. I love this issue. I'm super excited for the rest of the series. I might buy the issues but not read them so that I can just wait for the trade paperback and have that on my shelf, because this definitely seems like something that I want on my bookshelf already. If you haven't picked this up yet, you gotta go pick it up. I know that I just gave away the entire story, but really reading it is a great experience. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love having it in your collection. It's great stuff. So there you go. Go buy this. I wholeheartedly recommend it. And if you read it, what did you think?